Hey, what is going on, y'all? This is Jeff from GL Rides. And as you know, the 2025 Harley Davidson models are fresh out of the factory and hitting the dealerships. And so I am getting the itch to add to my stable with my 2021 Street Glide Special, another bike. And so I want to take you through using the Harley Davidson Bike Builder and what it can offer you in terms of making your bike purchase. Whether this is your first, second, third, fifth motorcycle that you're buying, I think the Bike Builder has something to offer for you as you make your move towards going to the dealership to make your purchase. Let's go. Hey, so as I mentioned in the open, I am gonna take you through using the Harley Davidson Bike Builder and what I think it can offer you in terms of building your bike. At the end, I'll take you through all the steps that you need to do in order to link up with your local dealership, or if you just want to have a paper product in front of you for you to work on or look at while you're going through the negotiation process. I've got information that will help you build your bike and execute your purchase flawlessly. And I also have other videos that I want you to check out when it comes to first-time buyers, or if you're an experienced buyer, in terms of what to expect in terms of cost and the things that you need to do before you purchase a bike. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So I'm gonna do a couple steps real quick, and then we'll talk about why I'm building what I'm gonna build. And so there's a little bit of a story behind it, some things that just caught me off guard and so on and so forth. But let's go ahead and get into the Harley's website. And first, you want to sign into your account. You want to make sure that you're signed into your account. That way you can save the profile when you're done. And you see my profile is already coming up. I'm signed in, the whole 9 yards. And then you want to click bikes. And I'm sure there's multiple ways to get there, but then you want to click bikes and build your own. It says it's a new feature, and that's the way I understand it. And I really like this feature. I've worked with this a little bit, but so that way I could give a good presentation. But yeah, I really do like the builder, and I'll tell you why here in a minute if you just stay tuned. And so the bike that I am going to be building is a Lowrider ST. And let me tell you the reason why I'm going to build a Lowrider ST and why I'm moving towards purchasing one as well. So, as you may know, and if you don't, hop over there and check it out, I made a Lowrider ST video, the 2024 Lowrider ST. I rode that, me and the salesman from Bayside Harley Davidson. They allowed me to go ahead and test ride that. And I'll put a link down to this video in the description, but check out that Lowrider ST video. But anyway, the Lowrider ST is my bike of the future if they don't get the Road Glide Limited situation straightened out. And what I mean is, I want a Road Glide Limited from the factory. I want speaker pods, everything, the lowers, the whole 9 yards. I want that from the factory. That's what I want. But in the meantime, I'm probably going to pick me up a Lowrider ST. So let's go ahead and get into it. And so my build of the Lowrider ST is going to be the black trim package. I love black, as you guys know that have watched some of my videos. I am not a chrome guy. I don't like maintaining it. I want to do as little detailing as possible because of the number of vehicles I have already and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so in the Lowrider ST, you have the billiard gray, which I think looks great. That would probably be my second color. You have the billiard gray, which is your stock color, no extra charge there. You have your vivid black. So that looks pretty sweet with the black trim package. I don't know if I'd want to go black on black. That's just me, but it is what it is. Then you got the brilliant red. And again, these are all choices that you can make and see this for yourself in the application right here, in the website. All right. And then I have the Iron Horse Metallic. So I went by Bayside Harley Davidson this past Friday, and I was able to see the Iron Horse Metallic in person. And I got to tell you, it's a pretty sweet looking color. It's not what I thought it was going to be based on what's on the internet, but it is a pretty sweet looking color. And I could see myself maybe buying it, but it doesn't blow my socks off, if you know what I mean. But what I'm going for is the Midnight Firestorm. I think this is a very nice paint job on the Lowrider ST. I don't necessarily care for it on the Road Glide. It does look good, don't get me wrong, but I prefer it on the Lowrider ST if this is the bike that I'm going to purchase, and it's looking that way. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Lowrider ST in the Midnight Firestorm, and you'll see the starting price right here. Once we advance, then it'll go ahead and add that in there. So let's go ahead and build our own. and I'll go right here, select build your own. There you go. Now we'll get into the interactive portion of this. I think Harley did a really good job with this application, letting you see what it is that you're going to build before you buy it. I think that's pretty sweet. And so I'm going to select the Midnight Firestorm, like I said. That adds $1,900 to it. And so MSRP as configured, $27,199. And so in the application, you can take and flip the bike over like this. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. I think this is a great tool to use before you go to purchase for you to figure out what it is you want to do. But that Midnight Firestorm looks great in my mind. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. And all of the changes that they made this year for the 2025, you've got the new gauge cluster right here. So you've got an analog across the top. You've got the little digital gauge right here. I think I still like the 2.1 inch from the 2024 that you can see in the video that I made. But anyway, I do like the gauge, especially on this because it's kind of hidden behind the fairing. Whereas on the Lowrider S, it's not quite as hidden. But anyway, so you got your 2-in-1 exhaust here. So that way your bags are even. That looks really good and symmetrical from the backside. I really like that. And like I said, you got that 117 high output motor. It's a pretty sweet looking ride. But we're gonna go through and build my dream bike. And then I'm gonna save this and then eventually proceed to the dealership to check it out. You gotta follow me for that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next step. And so what you're able to do is you're able to go through here and add parts that you wanna see on the bike. And you can add them, take them off. And that way you can see how it looks, what you think of it. You can zoom in, zoom out, the whole 9 yards. And so I'm going to build some of the things that I want on, or the things that I want onto this bike. And then I'll show you how to zoom in and things of that nature. So first, I would change the hand grips. I would do something different later on, but initially right off the bat, I would change the hand grips. And so you see this little circle right here. You click that and it'll zoom in for you. You can see the difference of what you've added. And then if you click off, it goes back to stock. And so you can just zoom back in manually. But when you add these things with the actual internet application, you can see it change. So we're gonna add the Get a Grips back. So one of the things that I learned while riding the Lowrider ST on that test ride that I did is the mid controls do not work for me. These mid controls put me in a very uncomfortable position. I mentioned before, I'm kind of deep in the seat, so it pushes me forward onto the tank a little bit more than maybe your normal 5'10" guy. And so the combination of the forward controls, which I'm gonna add right now, you see those move forward like that? That's what I would want right there. I'm gonna take them off and put them back on again. Hopefully you can see the position. One thing I don't like is that it rotates back to the previous position and you can't see it in the same spot. So what I mean is an improvement they could make is when I unclick this over here on the side, that they could make it stay here on the screen and then I could compare back and forth. You only get that brief second. But right here, you can see those controls are back far. And I don't prefer that, especially on my test ride. I'm gonna add these forward controls, like I said, and then that stretches me out a little bit. And so I would eventually replace the seat, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But at least right off the bat anyway, before I decide what seat I want to get, I would be able to get these forward controls up here and I'd be much more comfortable. My foot was at a funky angle on the brake especially, which I didn't really care for. So that would definitely drive me to get the forward controls on. And then so you have the engine guard kit. So that right there is not for me. I wouldn't want that. I'll add something here in a little bit to take that off. And that will also let me show you the functionality of the website, how it makes you remove things in order to install things. So my favorite air cleaner right now is the Wedge air cleaner. I would definitely add that. You can see that on there right there. I think that looks really good. Zoom in on that. To me, that looks really good. Right now I have the, I forget the model that I have. I'll put it up here on the screen on my 2021, but it's very similar except for it's oval. And so the switchback seat, there it is. So I'm gonna install the switchback seat. When and if I buy this bike, this is the seat I would leave the building with. I love my Saddleman seat, don't get me wrong, but I think this custom factory look and the way this pushes you back a little bit and has the back support, I think that looks really good. And then also this logo right here, this Harley Davidson logo, that's a good touch as well. But see, if you take that off, you see the difference? And this is why I think this website is really important, because you get to compare, even just looking at it, what the position of the items are going to be and so on and so forth. You can just see that cup right there where you would sit, push back further. And that's what I would want and need. I use an extended reach seat on my bike, so that actually works out really well. And so the big thing I would add is the Harley Davidson Rockford Fosgate speaker system. And so I went ahead and added that just now. That's a $1,200 upgrade basically. So let's go ahead and click into that. And here you get that overhead view of the system. And so this is Bluetooth connected. In that 2024 video that I did, you can hear it bump for a few seconds. I didn't want to get a copyright strike, but you can hear it bumping for a few seconds, so you can check it out for yourself. But one of the things you can click is the rider view. Bam. So that's the rider view right there. It gives you a perspective of what it would look like behind the seat of or on the seat of the bike. And so when we get to the bars later on, you'll be able to see that as well. So like I told you, I wouldn't want the engine guard that's on here. So that big bulky looking engine guard right there, I'm going to zoom out. I wouldn't want that on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace it with this flat out bar. And so it asks you if you want to replace it. And it is a straight exchange between the engine guard and the flat out bar. You can see no price change right there. All right, you go ahead and hit change, and then you got that on there. I think that looks sharp. And so fresh out of the factory, I think I would want that just like that. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit in terms of what it looks like when you complete your bike and how that process works with the dealership. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So stay tuned. Stay tuned with me. All right. And so there are no other changes I would want to make. These DLC fork tubes, I do think that's kind of cool. You get them to basically where they're blacked out. Unless you want that stock chrome, I think I would probably just leave it the way it is. But there it is. It's all built out the way I would want it. I would take these rear foot pegs off. They come with the forward controls, but I would take them off. I don't need them. Oh no, I think they come with the switchback seat. Let me go back real quick. And that's another thing I like about this website. It tells you what the kits entail. So you get the switchback seat, which is right here. Then you also get the passenger foot pegs and the Willie G Skull passenger pegs. I would take those off, resell them, whatever the case would be. I wouldn't use them. I don't ever have a passenger. So, but now you go to I'm interested, and you can see the price has been calculated. It's $31,200. And obviously you got your tax tag and license and stuff like that. And then you want to negotiate once you get into the dealership to see how you can work things out. But again, this is a good way to build your bike, to see how you want it. And then you go work with the dealership in terms of getting it done. And so you go ahead and click I'm interested. And so I've already got my dealership selected. You can see it right here. But there's a screen that will pop up if I didn't, that would allow you to enter your zip code. And then you would go ahead and select the dealership that you would want to work with. And so what happens is you would send this over to them, and then they would give you a call. When I sent this over the other day, they called me almost immediately to see what it is that I wanted to do, to talk to me about the bike and so on and so forth. You know, basically just greet me or whatever the case may be. And so I'm going to go ahead and enter my phone number. All right. And so it gives you the option to send it to your dealer. And so I don't want to do that right now. I will go and show you the rest of the screens. Let's see here, share. There we go. So it just saved a build. So now that I've saved the build, I'm going to view my build. And you could send it to the dealer. Like I said, I'm going to view my build. All right. And then so the one that I most recently built is this one right here. I'm going to view build. And there it is. It comes back up again. And so because I've been through this process already, some of the options are different. What you do get is you get a link for your build. So you go ahead and copy that, and you can share that with somebody. You can share it with the dealership, whatever you want to do. Now that you've got done with your build, you get to this custom build screen right here. And then what you can do is you can print a page so you can see everything that you have listed and take it with you. You can also use a link. You can use this QR code or whatever you want to use to help your dealer, you and your dealer work out your deal. I really do like the Custom Builder. I think it's a great tool to use. And let me talk to you a little bit about the process after you get done. And so, like I said, they'll give you a call after you've added everything and you've submitted it to your dealership. They'll give you a call and basically begin the process, you know, just like a normal dealer would do. But some of the things that you want to consider as you're going through this process. So basically, you create your bike. And so there's always a question of, is the bike in stock or is it not? So as I understand it, if the bike is not in stock, then what they'll do is they'll try to reach out to one of their sister stores to see if the bike is available with one of their sister stores, just like a car dealership would do. They would reach out and see if it's available. And then if it's not available, they would have to order it from the factory. But if the bike is on site and is available, you could get that bike that day. You don't necessarily have to wait for your parts to come in, because obviously a lot of these parts they're gonna have to order. So you would be able to take your bike if you want to, finalize your deal and take your bike if you want to, and then bring it back to get everything added on. It's completely up to you. Obviously, it probably varies from dealer to dealer, but that is my understanding, is it is completely up to you if you want to take your bike or not. Most folks want to take their bike, rip around a little bit, try to get to that first service. I think that first 1,000-mile service. That way, when you bring it back, you're adding these parts on. And you shouldn't have to worry about any warranty issues or anything like that, because you've bought it within the period of the purchase of the bike. I think it's 90 days or something like that. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But anyway, so that way you know you have that security. You can go ahead and ride your bike. You don't have to wait for the parts to come in unless you want to. All right. And so last but not least, when the parts arrive to the store, you're obviously going to have the labor paid, unless you work it out in your deal. You're gonna have to pay the labor for your parts as well. So you wanna make sure you understand that cost, not just the cost as it is on the website once you're done with the bike. Because my build ended up being $31,900, so basically $32,000 before tax, tag, and license. So again, you wanna understand all the costs associated with purchasing this motorcycle before you commit to it, right? I mean, that's just common sense, right? You don't wanna be shocked. And one thing I will tell you is, when I first bought my Harley Davidson in 2021, I was caught off guard by the service prices. I wasn't necessarily concerned or even thinking about doing mods at that point in time when I purchased it. I was just happy to have the bike. But when you're talking about your service cost, you're talking about your tax, tag, and license, you're talking about the labor to put the parts on, and so on and so forth, you gotta try to factor all that stuff into your deal, obviously, because you know it'll be a part of your loan or whatever the case may be. But like I said, I made this video because I thought this was a really good tool, especially with the 2025s coming out, for you to be able to get in your mind what it is you want when you go to the dealership. But I made a video about the Lowrider ST. I made a video about my first year's cost of my 2021 Street Glide Special. You can check that video out. I also made a video about 8 tips for riders just getting their motorcycles. And you should definitely hop over and check that video out too. And this isn't just for new riders. This is for experienced riders, the whole 9 yards. Refresh yourself on some of the things that you need to pay attention to when you're purchasing your motorcycle. I want to thank you for watching this video till the end. I want you to check out these videos that I'm talking about. I want you to like, share, and subscribe. And remember to always ride as if your life depends on it. Peace.